Namaste everyone, and thanks for being here today. This is week 9. It's gone quick. I don't really know what day it is at the moment or how long we've been in lockdown. It's all a bit of a blur. Now today we're going to do pretty much what we did last week because we're in week 9, and that's try and flow through the class. There's one thing I wanted to go through very briefly, and I'm going to do another short video, whether it's today or tomorrow, that will go into the details of that a little bit more, because I don't want to go on too much about it here, so because we want to get on with the class. But this is to do with hip flexion and hip extension. So flexion is when you go forward, so that's spinal flexion, that's hip flexion, and spinal extension is where you bend back, and hip extension is where you take your leg back. But most of us don't have very much hip extension, so it's easy for me to do that. But if I do that, it's mostly in my back. All right, so if I want to take the spinal extension out of it, I have to go like that. You can see you can hardly get my leg back. So Nev's sending me a note. I don't know what he's saying. Anyway, bring the mic closer, he's saying. Okay. So when we're doing these kind of poses where we take the leg back, I would say be really mindful that you're not arching your back too much. Like really try, and that's why I'm often saying lift the pubic bone. So you're taking the spinal extension out and you're focusing on your hip extension. All right. Anyway, that's just something to try and remember, because most people have that issue going on in their lower back. All these things are connected. We're very good at flexion, hip flexion, because we do a lot of sitting in chairs. Not so good at that hip extension. So something to work on. All right, that's enough for today. So come into either Baddha Konasana if you can. Otherwise, constructive rest if that doesn't feel comfortable. Okay? And just start by checking in with your physical body and also your emotional body. Can't really separate the two. You know, if we're feeling a bit stressed, we tend to hold a lot more tension in our physical body, and if this goes on for long enough, then that will create a blockage, and that can create some pain, stiffness, whatever. Every time a thought flies into our mind, or a memory of something traumatic, even if we can't really hold on to that thought or that memory, it's just kind of gone in and out, there'll be a reaction in the body. So really be aware of how you're feeling on an emotional level, as well as what's going on physically, where you're holding on to the tension, as well as things like injuries, special conditions. Try and allow your body to completely soften, and as much as possible your mind to relax. Excuse me. You can make a resolve, or at least have the intention, to only do the thing that feels the most appropriate for your body. And also how you're feeling emotionally. It's not a competition, it's not about achievement. So we're going to do some slightly longer inhalations. Breathing into the belly is a really nice way to help us relax, because it basically activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest response. Okay, so we're going to start by very gently pushing down on the pelvic floor without forcing. Then take that little sip of air into the lower belly. Feel the majority of the air move into the main part of the belly, a little bit into the lower chest, tiny bit more into the collarbone, and then just allow your body to soften. So we're not going to push the air out. It's just a very passive way of allowing the breath to be released. complete the exhalation that you're on. Bring your knees together. If they're not together already, press your toes, your heels, the soles of your feet down. Lift the pubic bone. Bring the chin in to lengthen also the back of your neck. And if it's more comfortable for you, bring one knee at a time to your armpit. So toes close, knees wide. Again, allow the spine, the ribs, the shoulders to soften. And then when you're ready, hold on to your shins and bring your knees just that little bit closer without forcing. Create some resistance, pushing shins into palms, palms into shins, and then relax. That might feel a little bit easier. And fish pose, Matsyasana, broadening across the upper back, pressing the shoulder blades down, bringing the chin in, relaxing the belly. And then expand the tummy on the inhale. So feel as if you're lifting your belly, your chest, your collarbone, as if towards the ceiling. So front of the body expanding, middle of the spine, moving away from the mat, and relax, allowing the back of the body to gently sink back down. Bringing your arms, if you can, in between your thighs, pushing your arms into your inner thighs, but pushing your inner thighs back into your arms. And then relax, and then take your palms to the outer knees and push your outer knees into your palms and your palms back into your outer knees. And then relax, bring your knees together, pop the arms down by the side. We'll give the hips a little bit of a wiggle from the left to the right side. And this gives you an opportunity to check in with the lower part of the spine. Now, if you wanted to, you can just change that movement into little circles so that you're observing each of the four corners of the lower back this time, connecting with the mat. Let's go back opposite direction if you're doing circles, and always being aware of this tension that sometimes unconsciously creeps into the neck and the throat. And if you're a tummy squeezer, you might notice that there's a correlation there. Squeeze the tummy and the neck gets tight, the jaw gets tense. And finishing off. So knees in, give your hips one last wiggle, left to right side. Now anchor your left foot. We're going to grip the mat firmly. That gives us stability. Take the right leg straight 10 centimeters off the mat, just holding it there for a few seconds to help release the hamstring and activate the front thigh muscle. When you're ready, one-legged bicycles with the right leg. And let's try opposite direction. And let's bring the right thigh nice and close to the chest. Interlink the hands, take them around the shin, give it a push, and then relax. If that's enough, just stay there. Otherwise, you could try flattening your left leg to the ground. We're anchoring the heel, trying to press the hamstring closer to the floor. And we'll do this a bit like the fish pose, okay? So you're going to press the shoulder blades down and feel like you're trying to lift belly, chest, collarbone up towards the ceiling. So you'll feel the middle spine again moving away from the mat. Relax, allow the back of the body to sink back down. Take your fingertips to the bottom of the mat, shoulders away from the ears, and you can either stay here or you expand the tummy on the inhalation, peel the upper body off the mat, and maybe you can lift your left leg if you want to as well. Okay, remember to keep breathing into the tummy so the sides of the abs stay nice and soft. Bring the left thigh in, pop your feet on the mat. So we're going to roll over to the right side and do some clams. You can pop that left hand under your ear if you prefer. So 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Rest, do another 12, or you can take that right leg straight. You can adjust a little bit, pushing into the ball of the right foot. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And we've got lower ankles touching, lower legs touching. We're just lifting the lower legs. Are you ready? 1, excuse me, 2, 3 and 4 and 5. And let's carefully come back into constructive rest. So that feels a bit different on the right side. So grip the mat with your right foot. Take your left leg straight. It's 10 centimeters off the mat. We're going to hold it there for a few seconds just to help soften the hamstring, and we'll make those front thigh muscles nice and soft, firm even. One-legged bicycles with the left leg. Excuse me. Opposite direction. And we're going to bring the left thigh nice and close to the chest. Okay, interlink your hands around the shin, give it a push and relax. If it's what you did on the first side, maybe stay there. Otherwise, flatten your right leg to the ground, anchor the heel, and we're going to do this like the fish pose. So we're going to press the shoulder blades down, push the shin into the palms, resist back, and imagine you're trying to lift the belly, chest, collarbone up. Relax, allow the back of the body to sink back down. That's it. Fingertips to the bottom of the mat, shoulders away from the ears. Stay here, or you can expand the tummy on the inhalation, chin to chest. Peel the upper body off the mat. Maybe you can lift your right leg off the floor. We want these sides of the belly relaxed. And again, when you breathe into the belly, sometimes that helps those muscles relax and makes you feel a bit more relaxed as well. And bring the right thigh to the chest. Pop your feet down, carefully rolling over to the right side this time for clams. All right, so feet close but not touching. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And you could do the same again. You can rest, or you take your left leg straighter. You can adjust what you need to adjust. Push into the ball of the foot. Are you ready? 1, 2. Try not to kick your microphone. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then we've got our lower legs touching, knees on the floor. Are you ready? Just lifting the lower legs. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Let's go back into constructive rest. We're going to do one more little sit-up. So try and get your thighs as close to your chest as you can. Balls of the feet to the ceiling. So I've got my legs bent. Fingertips to the bottom of the mat. And if you want to, just leave your head on the floor, hang out here for a bit. Otherwise, expand the tummy on the inhalation, chin to chest, peel the upper body off the mat. Now, some of you might be able to lift your tailbone. And not everyone's going to come up from here. It doesn't feel good for everybody. If you're one of those people, lie back down, roll to the right side, come to sitting and then standing in your own time carefully. Otherwise, you could come up to sitting. Possibly you can come up to standing. All right, I'm just going to move there because I've got really long arms. In case you hadn't noticed, I'm always hitting the side. So bending the knees, this is where we're going to work on our hip extension, because we push back like that, and that gives us a little bit of extension in the hips, just a tiny bit. Round out the back, elbows to the ceiling, armpits to the floor, chin to the throat, extend out through the crown of your head. And just tilt forward. You'll notice your toes grip. And then imagine you're stretching the mat apart with your feet. But then we're going to try and imagine that we're working towards getting our heels a bit closer. So even though our feet might be slightly pigeon-toed, it's like we're trying to go into duck feet. This is a nice way to release your back as well, believe it or not. Check the tummy is breathing. Follow me as much as you can. But put your own slant on it. We all move differently. We've all done different things. We've all got different stiff bits. Just feel the movement, always, if possible, emanating from the core. So that's the place between the pubic bone and the base of your ribs. Last one. This is the last one, sorry. about 10. I'm going to go over to one side in a sec for 5. Back to the centre, 5. Other side for 5. Centre. Other side. Centre. And last 5 on the other side. Last 5 centre. Last one. Five. And 12. Last one, back to the beginning. Try and make sure your bum doesn't stick out. Five. Last one, 12. Last one, back to the beginning, one more. 12. Remember, optional, never lift if you don't want to. That toe can always be on the floor. Simple, harder, challenging. Twisting half moon. Easier. Check the tummy is relaxed. Harder, challenging. Pubic bone to the right foot. Easier, harder, challenging. Half moon position. Follow me or go straight into the balance. Easier, harder, challenging. We're going into the lunge. Follow me or go straight into the lunge. Warrior 3. Lift the pubic bone. Turn to the right side. Now if this is enough, don't do anything else. Otherwise, you can take your left fingertips to the floor, your left hand to the floor, belly turns to the right arm up without stretching it back. Try squeezing the front heel to the left side. Stay here, or you can do the next add-on, or you can come up and go back into the side stretch. Otherwise, palms together. Create some resistance. Back into that side stretch. Oops, without falling over, with any luck. Imaginary cuddle. And easier. Do 2 more like that, or harder. You can go straight into that dancer's pose if you want to, or follow me. Harder, challenging, may or may not be possible. See how you go. Karate Kid position, simple, harder, challenging. Second side, we're starting on the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Maybe. Balance is optional. Crisscross. Simple, harder, challenging. Twisting half moon pose. Easier, harder, challenging. Pubic bone to the left foot. Leave your foot on the floor or lift slightly or challenging. Half moon position, go straight into the balance or you can follow me. Ribs in, twisting to the back of the mat. Optional lifting. So we're going to go back into the lunge. Via the Warrior 3 variation, you can follow me or go back into it without putting your foot on the floor until the last minute. This is easier. Lift the pubic bone. So can you see, I'm trying to take the arch out of my back, so there's a bit more hip flexion than spinal flexion. Tricky. Left arm down, reach into the corner. Breathe into the belly. Stay here, or if it's okay for you to take your hand to the floor, we're going to twist from the navel. Squeeze the left heel to the right side. Try not to stretch your arm back. If you want to, you can either stay here or go back into the side stretch or neck stand on. Create some resistance. Side stretching again. Imaginary cuddle. Are you ready? This is 1. And you could go harder, 2. And 3. Go straight into the dancer's pose if you want, or follow me. Easier, harder, challenging, possible, or maybe not. See how you go. Karate Kid position. Easier, harder, challenging. My mat's moved, sorry. Are you ready? Have your feet a little bit closer for this one. See how my toes are a little bit closer, my heels are a bit wider apart? When you're ready, do what you can. Be careful for knees, don't come down if you don't feel your knees are up to that, obviously. Because it won't make them feel any better. Side stretch. Hike the hip. Hike the hip. Twisting. Hike the hip. Move from the navel. Remember, we're not sticking the bum out when we do this pose. Back of hands together. Like a swimming stroke. Left leg back. This time, warrior 3. Ribs in, so you're not arching your back. See how my torso is parallel with the floor? I'm not doing this. Much easier on your back if you can practice that. Hold on to something if you need. So we're going into the lunge again. And that leg doesn't have to be too far back. Round out the back. Bring the arms forward. Elbows closer. Breathe into the belly. Feel the upper back stretch. Now we're going to go into Trikonasana. Belly to the ceiling. Straighten that front leg without locking the knee out. Gently bring that left arm up. So we don't want that bum sticking out. Squeeze the front heel to the left side. If you want to work harder, take your hand off the floor or off your leg. You can feel those muscles working. And relax that left arm. Just relax the arm. Soften the shoulder. Bring the left arm forward. Belly to the ceiling. Push out through the back foot. Don't let that bum stick out to the right side. That's where it wants to go. But I want you to scoop it to the other side. Bound variation. Soft shoulder. Wrap it around the waist. Belly, not head to the ceiling. Warrior 2. Bend the front leg. Front sitting bone forward, tailbone back. Lengthen between the fingers. Turn your navel to the back of the mat. but keep that front knee firm. So in other words, when you move your belly, your knee doesn't do that. Keep squeezing that front heel to the right side. Soft shoulders, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hug the tree, heels to toes, bottom bones to heels. Relax. Relax the face. When you're ready, shoulders in, arms up, slightly out, interlink. Stay on flat feet or come up, arms out. Broaden the palms, push into the heels of the hands, fingertips to the ears. A little breath in, lean and push. Cuddle. Palms up. Lean to the other side. Twisting, breathing in. Other side. Shoulders in, arms up. Now if you don't want to take your hands to the floor, pop your hands on your thighs, just adjust the position of your feet so they're slightly pigeon-toed. Otherwise, fingers on the floor, adjust your feet. Now bend your knees even if you're very flexible. Push into the outer feet, grip with the toes. Easier variation. You can put your hands on a chair as well if you need to, a block, a cushion. But for those of you who feel comfortable, you can start to walk the hands between the feet. Let your shoulders relax. Let your head relax. Release tension in the upper body. Just let gravity work in a slightly different way for you. So in other words, you're usually getting crushed with gravity as you walk around. When you do this, you're giving gravity the chance to create some space between your spinal joints using the weight of your head. Let's try the twist. So you're going to walk your hands forward, anchor your left palm, round out your back. This is all from the belly. So as you breathe in, tummy to the right, right arm out. Use the left palm to twist your belly more to the right. Push into the right foot to create resistance. Swap your left hand with your right hand. Left hand on the belly, round out the back. Soft tummy, breathing in, belly to the left. Left arm out rather than stretching back. Use the right palm to twist the navel to the left side. Push into the left foot. Always trying to get more movement in the trunk. That's the stiff bit, isn't it? Well, one of them. And bring the left hand back down. So you can either shimmy or jump back into gadget stand, scoop forward, lengthen between the fingers. Let's try the lawnmower. 1, 2, and 3. I think I stuffed that up a bit, didn't I? Whoops. That's the harder version. Easier, challenging. Got something on me. What is it? Second side, when you're ready, like a swim stroke. Right leg back. 1, 2, 3, and warrior 3. The ribs in. Try not to have your back arched. Hold on to something if you need to. And lunging. Lift the pubic bone. Arms forward. Elbows closer. Feel the upper back stretch. Push into the back foot. Breathing into the belly. Trikonasana. Back foot flat. Belly to the ceiling. We're working towards straightening this left leg, but we don't want to lock it out because that's hard on the joints. Remember, belly up, ribs in. Stretch the mat apart with your feet. Work harder by taking your hand off the floor. You'll feel those muscles going very firm. second variation, relax the shoulder. Remember, gravity, soft arm, everything relaxed. Swing it forward, lengthen into the fingers. Push out through the back foot, navel to the ceiling. And the bound version, relax the shoulder again. Roll the shoulder in, wrap it around the waist. Belly to the ceiling this time. Warrior two. Lengthen between the fingers. Squeeze the front heel as if to the right side. Front sitting bone forward, tailbone back. Navel to the back of the mat without letting that left knee move. Relax when you're ready. 1, 2, 3, 4. Last one. And hug the imaginary tree. Gadget stand. Heels to toes. Bottom bones to heels. Leaning back a little bit so the bum's not sticking out. Is your tummy relaxed? Like a Buddha. And elbows back. Cocktail or coffee, depends on what mood you're in. I think we all need a cocktail right now, so take it all the way around to the right. 1 and 2 and 3. Left hand all the way around to the left. 1 and 2 and 3. And shoulders in. Arms up. The inner thighs, this is the J-Lo, and left shoulder to right heel. Right shoulder to left heel. One more each side. Shoulders in. Same thing, if you want to do the easier version, you don't want to touch the floor, hands on your thighs. Adjust the position of your feet. Otherwise, adjust the position of your feet with your hands on the floor. I don't want my legs locked out. I'm going to bend my knees a little bit, push into the outer feet, and I want to feel like I'm trying to get my feet back into gadget stand. Now I could look forward. You could have your hands on a chair if you need to. But if you have that flexibility, relax your head, relax your shoulders. And if you are relaxed, because it's hard to relax, if you're used to being tense, that's just your normal, isn't it? It's our normal. So when you relax, you will feel your shoulders are touching your earlobes. And you feel like, oh, there's a little bit of relief from that idea of holding on to all those thoughts that make our head feel so weighty. So we can use it for good purposes when we're in this position. We can use it to traction the upper spine. Now this time we're going to do the twist, or a twist. Doesn't matter where your hands are. You can just walk your hands a little way over to the right side. Actually, I'm going to bring my feet a bit closer for this one. And you can just hang out there, relaxed, or turn your navel towards the top of your right thigh, and you could just take your hands into outer space. Now if you want to try that quite challenging twist, sometimes I can do it, but not very well because my little shoulders are tight too. It's your upper left arm on the outside of your right leg, and the right arm comes forward. That's tricky. Some of you will be able to do it better than me, I'm sure. Relax. Second side. So fairly simple. You just walk your hands over to the left and maybe just leave it at that. Otherwise, focusing on your navel, align your navel with the top of your left thigh. Take it one more by just having your arms go off into outer space. Tricky if you want to try it. Keep the twist to the left going. Upper right arm on the outside of the left leg. Left arm goes forward. Easier on that side. Don't know why. Not easy though. Relax. Oh. Feet back into gadget stand. Scoot forward, lengthen between the fingers. Are you ready? I'll get it right this time. So 1 and 2 and 3 and simple, harder, challenging into simple, harder, Lovely. All right, let's do a little bit of movement to release the spine, the trunk. It's a nice thing to do every morning. And as I said last week, when you're doing this move, you almost want to imagine that you have no arms. What would you do? Because you don't want it to look like this, like a windmill. You want to feel like the reason that shoulder, the elbow, the arms are moving is because it's coming from here. See if you can get that happening. Let's come into Uttanasana. Nice soft variation. Relax the legs, relax the knees, and again relax the head. Let's come down into cat pose. We're going to do the wrist stretch, all right? So you can sit in any position to do this one. You can even sit on a chair if you don't want to do this. But when we, again, push the belly forward and lean back, this takes us into extension. And you can feel like you're getting this nice stretch here, and also you feel like your ab muscles are firm at the front, soft at the sides. Hope you can feel that. So roll your shoulders all the way in, squeeze your hands into a fist. And we're going to take the left hand on the right, right hand on the left, press the palms together. And then if possible, you're going to bring your hands through. So we want to keep the palms touching, and we want to straighten the arms. So that's the first challenge. And if you've got that one sussed, turn your hands in an anti-clockwise direction. And if you've got that one sussed, you can add on again by, even though you're turning your hands anti-clockwise, imagining that you're trying to turn them in the other direction as well. Oh, that's a big stretch. Relax. Second side, so right hand on the left, palms touching. Try and take your hands through, so we're working towards keeping the palms touching each other while the arms are straight. That's challenging enough. But if you can do that, then you can try turning your hands clockwise. And if you want to do more than that, then even though they're turning clockwise, you imagine you're trying to turn them in the opposite direction at the same time. Oh, that is a big stretch. Relax. Let's take the hands back because we didn't do that in the first place. And shoulders in, arms up, spread the fingers, grab the mat. So we're going to press all the fingers down. Oh no, I'll go this way, it's easier. All right, press the fingers down, lift up the palms. And we're going to just press down little finger, ring finger, middle finger, index finger. Do it again. Now when your palms are on the floor this time, and you're distributing that weight between your thumb and your thumb pad and all of the fingers, you notice you don't immediately sink into the base of the wrist. And I want you to be mindful of that throughout the rest of the practice. Every time the hands are on the floor, actually not just the rest of the practice, but any time you practice or your hands are on the floor, because you will hurt your hands. And even if you're not weight bearing, that's important, especially when you're practicing your yoga. So push the bottom bones forward, look slightly forward, right leg goes back, left arm forward. Now, as I've said before, you can always take your left hand back to the floor. I've just made this a little bit trickier for a challenge, okay? Are you ready? 1, 2, knee to shoulder, 3, 4, last one, this is 5. We're going to bring the knee to the shoulder again and go into Parigasana. So, but I'm mostly interested in my foot as opposed to sinking into my left wrist. So instead I'm going to be on my left fingertips there, and this right arm, remember what we did in Trikonasana, soft shoulder, lengthening into the fingers. So I want that armpit rubbing my ear. If you take the left fingertips off the floor, you've got a little bit more core work going on. Balance on the fingertips, lift the right leg, same thing, maybe both. Tricky. Right hand down. So what we're going to do is push the heel of the right foot closer to the floor, just to try and stretch out the calf a little bit. My calves are always tight, don't know about you. Let's swap it over. Left. And now we're either going to kneel and stretch forward if that's better for you, or you could try Gomukhasana if you know the pose works for you. It's a tricky one. Right foot over to the left. Left leg slides in behind, bottom towards the floor, but you can put a cushion under your bum. 3 or 4 cushions even. A whole armchair. Do what you need to do. Lengthen into the fingers and play around with this a little bit if you want. Feels nice. Squeeze the thighs together. Let's come back into cat pose. Remember your hands. It's so easy to forget, isn't it? I forget too. Left hand, left leg even. Right arm forward, ribs in as much as you can. Take the right hand to the floor if that's what you prefer. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And just bring that left thigh to the chest, Parigasana, that's the side stretch. So I'm focusing on anchoring my left foot. I'm just going to balance on the fingertips of my right hand. That left shoulder is soft. And I just want to remind you that when you do it that way, there's often a bit of a... Maybe that's just me. But if your arm is down and goes that way, it feels better. It feels like an extension of that side stretch. So, take my hand off the floor. Muscles have to work. Left foot off the floor. Again, those muscles have to work. Both tricky. They're a really good thing to practice if you can. Very hard. Back into this position. We're going to stretch out the left calf again by pushing the left heel closer to the floor. Oh, that feels good though. And right foot. So just to remind you, sometimes people who get those issues with their feet, plantar fasciitis, this is all to do with calf tension. You know, that's such a boring injury. So either going to kneel and stretch forward or left leg over to the right. Right leg slides in behind because it goes on for such a long time. It really does. So we really need to keep the muscles nice and long as much as we can. It's hard, I know. Walking is great, but I notice when I walk a lot my feet get very stiff, so you know, sometimes it's got to be balanced with the stretching, a bit of yoga, whatever. And back into cat pose. Alright, I'm going to come this way now. Sorry, I'm like a cat that keeps turning around like this. You see a cat do that? That's what they do, isn't it? Anyway, so we're going to either lie on the tummy, that's fine, or we can do chaturanga. You can do it from cat pose, that might be easier for you. Come into plank if you like the challenge. Be careful for your hands, again, looking forward. Shoulders over wrists, breathing in, elbows in, remember? Remember? Try not to sink, try not to sink. Come down to the floor, roll your thighs in. And if you haven't seen it yet, I did a little video on YouTube, it's only 5 minutes, and I just detailed that move. So if you want to practice it, you can have a look at that one, and that might help you fine tune the movement. So elbows forward. This is Shalabhasana, easier variation, but for a different purpose as well. We're doing this one with our arms on the floor. So if you just press your belly down, feel as if you're lifting your pubic bone up, armpits down, and lift the sternum. Alright, so it feels like you're pulling your elbows towards your hips. But what I really want you to try and work on here, if you can visualize it, is your upper back, that particular area where if you're sitting for a long time, especially at the computer, there's always a part of the upper back where it starts to ache for most people. And I want you to imagine that you're almost trying to reverse that curve. So it's a kyphosis, and a lordosis is an arch, and it's almost like we're trying to put a tiny, teeny, weeny little arch in the kyphosis, not forever, just to get a little bit of movement there. And relax. Awesome. Okay, we're going to stretch out the pecs. Good for your neck. So left knee out to the side, push the tailbone down, grab the mat. None of this is passive stretching ever. We always do resistance. Midnight, 3 o'clock, 1:30. Spread the fingers, bend the elbow, anchor all those things to the floor. push the pec down and imagine that you've super glued it to the floor. Look at the left hand. Say, left hand, I would like you to help me undo the super glue. Left hand says, okay. But as the left hand tries to lift, the only thing that's going to move is your chest, because that super glue won't undo. You have to keep pushing that down. Some of you maybe take your left toe tip behind. See how you go. Back onto the tummy. Let's try the second side. So right knee out, tailbone down, grab the mat. Same thing, midnight, 9 o'clock. We want 10:30. My hand is like that, you can't see it. But bend the elbow, glue it all down, particularly this left pec. It's super glue. Use your right hand as if you're trying to undo that super glue, but the only thing you can lift is your chest. Okay, oh, it's so tight on the side. It's my mouse arm. Some of you can take your right toe tip back. There's a lot of tension there. Don't overdo it. Pulling a muscle is, again, very boring. Tearing a muscle, even more boring, because it never really fixes. Back to the first position. This is your opportunity to have a rest if you prefer. You could do this one again. We're going to do some swimming. You can do it just with your legs, just with your arms. I'm going to do both. Are you ready? We're doing 35. Keep your chin in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. Relax. So just while you're having a relax, I'm going to tell you why that pose or that exercise is really good for people that sit all the time, because I'll go through this if I do the little instruction video, but a lot of people don't have those these glute muscles working very well, and it is really, everything comes back to sitting, being in hip flexion. But when you're in this position, hamstring works, good for the knee, bum muscles are working, back muscles are working. Alright, so that's why it's hard, because those muscles don't get used very often for most people. Alright, now we're going to do the worm into kneeling, stretching forward. I'll do easy, do harder if you want to. Shoulders down. Focus on the pubic bone, that's where you're moving from, pubic bone towards the chin. And then we're going to walk the knees a little bit closer. Come into cat pose, round out the back. Bottom bones to heels. Take your knees wide when you're ready. Try and get your bum as close to the heels as you can. And if you have issues with your shoulders, your arms, or anything like that, you can just drop your elbows down. But for those of you that don't, this is your opportunity to use your arms to traction your spine. So again, I want my shoulders touching my ears. And I'm going to make those arms as long as possible. And then I don't want my hands passive. Do you remember before we were doing all that work with our hands and our fingers? That's what I want you to do right now. Press your fingers down, your thumb pad. Nothing is passive. You can feel your hands get warm, which is what we want. Bring the chin to the throat. If you can, lift the back of the body up. So the ribs are in, they're not flaring. Breathe into the belly. This should feel like a pretty good stretch for most people. You want to feel it in your back, similarly to how you might feel if you were hanging on monkey bars. And that's a great way to traction your spine. Hang on monkey bars for a little while. Breathing into the belly. Now, you don't have to do the down dog. You can just hang out here. This is pretty intense. If I'm doing it properly, I can feel the heat moving into my back. I can feel my spine lengthening. I can feel my arms getting a nice stretch as well. And my side body. If you would like to do the down dog, try and make it feel kind of similar. Don't worry too much about hamstrings. So follow me if you're going to do the down dog. And remember, all the poses or the add-ons that we do in the down dog, we can do in a cat pose as well.
and do Parigasana instead of the Wild Thing pose. Okay, so there's always options. Now I would, if I was tight in my hamstrings, which I usually am, but much better than I used to be, I would bend my knees so I'm getting that stretch in my spine. Then see how I don't know if you can see, but my sitting bones are moving up to the ceiling. Now I'm going to scoop them towards my heels and look towards my belly. And then I can now take my heels to the floor. I wouldn't have been able to probably at the beginning of the class, and certainly it's not something that comes easy to me. I want to make sure I'm lifting my hands and leaving my fingers on the floor, because I've got that habit, the same as everyone, of sinking into my wrist. Now you could rest, you can stay here, or you can shift your weight to the left foot and lift your right leg. I feel like I'm going to have a wardrobe mishap, so I'm sorry if my top goes all the way over my head. And if possible, you're going to take the right foot to the left side of the mat, slide your right palm forward, turn the back foot to the left. Some of you are going to drop the right knee on the floor, because that's going to be Parigasana. Some of you can come into the Wild Thing pose like this. Some of you, like Marie, likes to do the Wild Thing pose like this, bit of a back arch, harder, but great to stretch the front of the body. Certainly not obligatory. Let's get back into down dog. Let's go through those things again. Okay, see, lifting my hands, pushing my armpits down, chin to throat, rolling my bum bones towards the heels, because it's not a back arch, this pose, it's a forward bend. And if the ribs are flaring, generally that means you're doing a back arch. Shift to the right foot, lift the left leg. Relax, or try taking your left foot to the right side. Try sliding your left palm forward, turning your back foot, dropping the left knee to the floor. If you prefer Parigasana, this is Wild Thing pose, or this is Wild Thing pose. And back into down dog. Relax. Cross ankles. If you can, I should have said, come into sitting. Okay, I feel like I've got two dogs at the moment, and they're always following me around. And every time I wear a black jumper, I'm like, oh my God, you just can't vacuum enough times a day, I think, to get rid of the dog hair. They're, especially at this time of the year when it's starting to warm up. So, table pose, if possible, fingers towards the bottom, shoulders down, elbows close. Now, keep your head where it is, but lift the sternum, push the chest forward, keep bringing the elbows to get towards each other. That's a lovely stretch for the chest. Okay, if you want to go further than that, watch your hands again. Grab the mat, bottom to heels, breathing in, lift the belly up, shoulders to hips. That's it. Now, anyone who's taken their head back, have a think about how you've done that, because you've got that little weak vertebra at the back of the neck, the one that irritates the same way as your lower back. Chin forward, then look up, lift your face up, then maybe take your head back, but don't just drop it. Maybe make sure those muscles are strong enough in the throat first, because those muscles get weak. Why? Because at the back of the neck, those muscles are always overworked, aren't they? Computer stuff. Chin in. Do you want to try the harder one? I reckon you do, don't you? You don't have to. You can do the easy one again, or you can just do something like this if you like. Harder. This is pose for Tanasana, by the way. Breathing in. I find this very hard. You're trying to get your feet on the floor, but you can do it that way if you want. Clever people can lift one leg at a time. Super clever people can lift both legs at a time. And relax. That's tricky. I need to practice that one. Let's come down to the floor. If you want to, because it's a bit chilly again today, at least it is while we're in my room, that's why I've got the heater on again. Don't take your flannelette sheets off too early, I say. Come down into constructive rest, but you might want to put your warm top on. I'm going to go this way so you can see. All right, when you're ready, grip the mat with the left foot, right leg straight, 10 centimeters off the mat, one-legged bicycles with the right leg. opposite direction. Back to the first position, slowly crisscross. Now maybe for you it's time to relax. If so, stay there. Otherwise, you could relax there. For those of you who like to do the sit-up, you can try that. Expand the tummy on the in-breath, chin to chest, peel the upper body off the mat. We're going to go into happy baby. So as you come down, hug your left thigh to the side ribs. That's your happy baby position. You can see you don't have to hold on to anything, but for the resistance exercise, which is useful, calf, ankle, or the outside of the right foot if you can reach. Remember, I've got really long arms. Resistance, imagine you're trying to get the thigh to the floor, foot to the ceiling, elbow goes forward. Because I really want you to feel, is your right armpit nice and firm? This is really useful as well, because it just means these muscles that are always overworked get the chance to switch off. So the muscles above the shoulders get the chance to switch off when that armpit muscle is strong. Relax, but just relax enough so that your life doesn't depend on that feeling of resistance, but there's still something happening. Now for the super flexi, I'm going to come out a bit. I'm going to give you the add-on, not for everyone. Let go of the right leg if you're super flexi. Take the right leg a bit straighter maybe without grabbing it. This right arm goes on the inside and you're going to push the leg into the arm, arm into the leg. Relax. Try one more. Little push. Relax. Go back to that first position, or maybe you can hold on to your big toe or something else. Relax, relax. So I don't want you to feel like you're overstretching. I want it to feel always deliciously intense. It's attention, not tension. Always find the sweet spot. Hug the thigh. Pop the feet down. Let's try the second side. So grip with the right foot, left leg straight, 10 centimetres off the mat. One-legged bicycles with the left leg. Opposite direction. Slowly crisscross. Relax or go harder. Relax or try the sit-up. Expand the tummy on the in-breath, chin to chest, peel the upper body. And when you come down, happy baby this time. Right thigh hugs to the side ribs. Left leg goes into happy baby. Do this one first before you grab anything anyway, because it just always helps to do what you can do without grabbing before you grab and yank something, all right? So calf, ankle, or the outside of the left foot, or maybe just stick with that one. And imagine you're trying to get your thigh to the floor, but your foot's trying to go to the ceiling. This armpit, I want it firm. Elbow forward helps, lift the shoulder, or the armpit up also helps, then it's super firm. And I know these muscles, scaling muscles, are relaxing a little bit. Now just relax that tensioning, so something is happening, but it's not, your life doesn't depend on it. Some of you are going to stay here. Those with a lot of flexibility can try and straighten their leg a little bit more. It may not be completely straight. That's okay. That's pretty normal. Bring your left arm on the inside and push. And relax. It goes a little further. Then push. Relax. Same thing. You can go back to the easier version if you want to. Or you can stay here, hold on to something. Might be your toe, might be your ankle. Find that place, effort, surrender. Always breathing into the tummy and reminding your nervous system, you're okay, I'm relaxed, I'm doing something intense, but I'm relaxed. And hug the thigh to the chest. I'm so sorry, but I've realised the phone's in here again, so I'm going to have to
disappear for 2 seconds during relaxation. Get rid of it. Probably won't ring, but that would be one of those things, wouldn't it? So lift the pubic bone, press the feet into the mat, bring the chin in, but press the middle of the back of the head into the mat. Have your arms on a similar plane to your thighs. Now if you would prefer, just do Setu Bandha like this if you've had enough. There's enough to keep you warm. To do the full pose, focus on the pubic bone. This is a really good pose to practice moving from that area. So as you breathe in, pubic bone towards the chin, it's very subtle, but you'll feel all those little muscles in and around the groin area starting to engage. You feel the pelvic floor start to lift, and eventually you'll feel the front of your hips start to lift up towards the ceiling. You can, once you're in a comfy position for you, squeeze your heels towards each other again, which is a bit like what we did in the beginning. So whenever you're pigeon-toed, feel like you're trying to get into duck feet. That's called spiraling in yoga. But what it does is it keeps the blood moving. We're all about enhancing the circulation, blood and energy, information around the body. Expand the tummy, exaggerate the breathing into the abdominal area so you can release some of that chronic tension that's built up over the last, 30, 40, 50, 60, maybe 70 years. Drop the arms to the floor. If you've had enough, you can just stay here or come out of the pose. Next one, be careful if your neck is a bit tight today. We shuffle onto one side, bring one arm under, do the same on the other side. And try and get the shoulders away from the ears. Press the backs of the arms firmly down. And even though your chin is massaging your throat, could you imagine you're just trying to lift your chin slightly towards the ceiling? It's subtle. Breathing into the belly again. And drop your bottom about a third. Release your shoulders. And when you're coming down now, can you imagine your spine? It's like a set of escalator. In as much as all those steps on your escalator are separate. They move separately, but they're part of one mechanism, exactly the same as your vertebra, your spine, or your skeleton as a whole. All those joints need to be able to move. Relax. When you're ready, bring, if you feel more comfortable doing it this way, one knee at a time to your armpits. And with your arms in between your thighs, push your arms into your thighs, and your thighs are going to push back into your arms. Relax. Hold on to your shins and bring your knees a little bit closer to the armpits. And we're going to finish the way we started. So fish pose. Press the shoulder blades down. Bring the chin to the throat. And as you inhale, feel like you're lifting belly, chest, collarbone to the ceiling. So the front of the body expands and the middle of the spine moves away from the mat. Relax. Let the back of the body gently sink back down. Bring your knees together. Pop the arms down by the side. Give it a bit of a wiggle. And come into constructive rest. Adjust by turning your palms up and maybe gently extending into your fingertips. No tension, just almost like 5% of something. So you can feel your fingertips tingling. Otherwise you could rest your hands on your belly. You could leave your feet where they are or shimmy them out, let your knees drop together. Some of you are comfortable in Baddha Konasana. You can put Baddha Konasana feet on a cushion, that feels nice. If you're in a bedroom or in a lounge room and you've got a couch or a bed handy, you can put your lower legs over the couch or the bed. That's really nice as well. But be comfy. For the last part of your practice, I'm going to take you through that breathing exercise, which you can begin if you know it. What I'm going to do is set you up. And I'm going to remove the phone, just in case it rings, which it probably won't, but it would
would be just my luck. Now, if you remember how to do Ujjayi breathing, you can incorporate that into the Viloma-Krama exercise. But I'll go through it all. Please feel free to block my voice out if you know exactly what you're doing. So Ujjayi breathing. On the inhalation, you imagine that you've got a straw and you're about to inhale through the straw, but your mouth is closed and your lips are touching, and you'll feel the front of your throat move towards the back of your throat. Now, if I was going to do it loud, it would sound like this. That'll give you a sore throat, especially if it's windy outside and there's not much moisture in the air. It's unnecessary. You want everything in your yoga to end up being super subtle. Sometimes we have to exaggerate it in the beginning. That's just learning, isn't it? You know, and then suddenly we don't have to think about it anymore, but it's there. It doesn't matter whether we're riding a bike or walking. And that's what I want you to work towards, really being subtle with all these things. So that's the inhale. The exhale, same thing. You could imagine that you're blowing the air out through a straw, but with your mouth closed and your lips touching. You'll get exactly the same sound. Or you could just imagine you're humming silently. Sometimes that's an easier way to explain it. Now, normal inhale, 3/4 of a lungful. Exhalation, we're going to do in 3 even stages. All right, so it's an exhale and then a pause, a little bit more, and a pause and a little bit more. And just really, really focus on how you're doing this. Because if you're a perfectionist, and we all are to some extent, we get given some instructions and we go tick, tick, tick. But with this stuff, you want to feel it. You don't just want to go, okay, or whatever. You want to feel that's a little bit of my body relaxing, and then I'm going to stop. Then I'm going to relax a bit more, stop, and a little bit more. So in the same way, at the beginning of the class, when we did that exhalation, we just relaxed. Maybe you can incorporate the idea of that into that Viloma-Krama. So you're actually feeling yourself softening into that exhalation. You're using it as a release. It's not just a set of instructions. Okay? So just work on that. I'm coming back, but I will get rid of the phone just in case. Coming back. If you'd like to practice that exercise, that breathing exercise for a little bit longer, you can just pause or mute this recording now, and you can continue with that. Otherwise, I'd like to invite you to let go of any sense now of controlling your breathing or anything else, and adjust your posture if you need to for complete rest. when we're doing Shavasana or meditation, it's easy to imagine that we're relaxing and meditating, but actually what we're doing is thinking. So let's try and give ourselves something to focus on and just try and keep our attention within the parameters of that thing. I'm going to suggest your physical body. So be aware of your physical body, be aware of the ground beneath your body, be aware of the air in the room just around you. Be aware of your responses to any stimuli, anything that you hear in your house, any thought that pops into your mind, but just try and keep it really close. Really close, and you can kind of engage the witness so that you're observing your reactions to the stimuli. And it doesn't have to go any further than that. It's just, okay, back to the practice. Oh, okay. And then back to the practice. Because we can't stop thinking, but we can work towards being much better at distinguishing which thoughts are worth giving energy to and which thoughts are just draining our energy, making us feel anxious. Okay, so we're just going to keep coming back to this idea of softness in the body, softness and release in the mind and the brain. And every so often, quite quickly maybe for some people, that sense of softness and release will be interrupted by a thought, some stimuli, a noise. That's okay. Be aware of that. Go back to that sensation of softness and release in the body. Sometimes it's hard to catch the thought that led to the feeling of tension or anxiety, or because they flit in and out so quickly. But the more we make time for just a few minutes of nothingness like this, just to let the whole thing play out, the more relaxed, the more focused, the more calm we will end up feeling in our day-to-day life. It doesn't have to be half an hour, it could be 3 to 5 minutes every day or twice a day. Just a little bit of time where you tune out of all those external things and just come back to center. You could be sitting at your desk while you're doing that. You could be washing up when you make the decision to do that. Be cleaning somebody's room. But instead of thinking, I must get this done, blah, 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 you just allow yourself to be in the moment with whatever it is that you're doing. Become aware of your tension, your resistance. Now once again, I'm going to give you the opportunity to mute the recording, turn it down, so that you can relax for a little bit longer. Otherwise, I'm going to take you through the last part of the practice, which is the visualization. So when you're ready, just bring your awareness now to your lower belly. So around the pelvic floor area, pubic abdomen. And just feel as if you're taking a little sip of air into the lower abdomen. Just feel that whole area becoming warm and feeling spacious, feeling nourished. And if there is an emotional aspect to that particular part of your body, just be aware of it, come back to it later. You can dig into it a little bit more. Just for now, just awareness of what's going on there, and that sense of release. When you're ready, you can bring the breath into the main part of the belly, so the power center around the navel. Feel the abdomen or the belly, the navel, move away from the spine, maybe. Get a sense that that area is inflating slightly, becoming spacious, becoming warm, becoming nourished. Visualize the whole of your digestive system, all those important organs in and around that area that are governed by the relaxation response, rest and digest. Really sense that part of your body is being allowed to feel free. Honor all those feelings that are held in that very sensitive part of your body. Follow your breath when you're ready into the chest, just feeling the ribs lifting slightly out of the waist. And this time visualize your heart, visualize your lungs, and the whole of your circulatory system working together, moving the blood around the body without impediment and allowing oxygen and nutrients to move into all the trillions of cells that make up who we are. Follow the breath through the throat, allowing the throat to soften to the crown of the head. And just pause to observe for a moment sensation at the crown of your head. And when you're ready to exhale, when you're ready to let the air go, once again, just soften and relax. And see if you can follow it, not just as a feeling of softness and release, but also with that sense of allowing that sense of healthy detachment. That sense of everything being in its place. Just trying to let go a little bit of that feeling of struggle, that sense of waiting, that impatience. So follow, if you can, that thought, the breath, that exhalation down the back of your head, your neck, the upper back, across the shoulders, the middle back, the lower back, across the top of your pelvis, the buttocks and the tailbone, and down through each of your legs, heels, and out through the tips of each of your toes. And in your own time, you can give your fingers and your toes a little bit of a wiggle, and you can squeeze your eyes and your eyelids together. And you can bring your arms up above your head and give your whole body one last big stretch. You can either bring up your left knee to roll yourself gently to the right side, or both knees if that feels better. Give yourself a little bit of a rock and roll yourself gently to the right side. You can stay there for as long as you like. I hope you enjoyed your practice. Have a lovely day. Namaste.